Game day.
Welcome everybody to the next episode of Chiefs Focus First and 10 Live. You're here with JP, Caleb, and Quentin. What's up, guys?
The usual.
Same here, the usual, but happy. It's almost Red Friday. The Chiefs are about to play pretty soon.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's getting close. Every day that goes by, my confidence level goes up a little bit more. And
yeah, hashtag ankle watch.
Yeah.
Yes, that is true. Hashtag ankle watch.
It's been pretty insane. I mean, when I first got, I think we put it on the show that right after the game, and I was like, okay, maybe he's better than he was. And then every day after that, he just got better and better, and it was like, man, this is great. I mean, you know, he's talking like he wants to be 100% by Sunday, so we'll see if he gets there. I think he might. The way he looks, every video I've seen that he hasn't even been on Twitter looks good. I mean, he's running hard. He's making cuts. He's doing things that most people do when they're not injured. So I guess we'll see. One good thing that's coming about right now is McColl's been practicing, and it sounds like, from what I've heard, he's going to be on a pitch count come Sunday. And what's up, Philip? Scott, how you doing? Sounds like he's going to be on a pitch count, and I would probably venture to say that it's going to be on some Tony plays. You know, when Tony's out on the field, you're going to see McColl out on the field, and probably a 2 tight end set with Juju out there as well. So I think that's probably what we're going to see. And then they are, from what we said earlier in the week, came to be true. Andy made that very clear that Jody Fortson would be the one that's going to be taking the spot of Chris Cincinnati Lamones, and that's okay. I mean, you know, that's fine with us. He can,
yeah.
You know, he's one of the best out there, so
yeah,
he's great. So, what are you guys thinking? What's your mindset right now?
I mean, I feel pretty confident. The one thing I'm interested in, kind of Philip has alluded to, these quote-unquote false prophets predicting all these things. I mean, I'm kind of surprised, and I shouldn't be, but these Bengals fans are very bold, as if they've won a Super Bowl. And, yeah, they've had a little bit of a run. And, yeah, I'm not saying they're a terrible team, but for them to be this confident, I can understand, yeah, you beat this team 3 times, but I feel like, especially this last time when the Chiefs lost to them, it was because people were injured. And I think this team knows that, and I think that as a whole that the Chiefs should be able to win this game. And just kind of see some of the reaction from the fans. I'm like, obviously, looking at seeing some of their messages, like saying winning. I mean, these last 5 years have been pretty incredible. I'm not gonna lie to you. 5 straight AFC Championship games. I mean, it's been pretty nice compared to what we've seen the last 10 years prior to this. So I think the Chiefs are gonna be a good stance. I just know it's gonna be a tough game, but I feel like the Chiefs are gonna end up being able to prevail.
What are you thinking, Quentin?
I think that, you know, this is going to be a pretty close game all throughout. I agree with a lot of the sentiment that Caleb has. I believe that these last 3 games have been really close, and I think people forget about that. You know, all of these games not only have come down to a field goal, but have essentially come down to game-winning drives. And
exactly,
none of these, even the last 2 games, the last AFC Championship game and the game in Week 13, they were lost due to turnovers. And so, you know, I don't think either fan base should be feeling like as confident as someone like Eli Apple is feeling right now. I think both teams should.
Steven Nelson Jr.?
Yeah, Steven Nelson Jr. Man, you go on his.
I mean, you're not lying.
You go on his Wikipedia page and see what he's done. Most of his stuff talks about what he did at college. So
yeah.
For somebody and I've been saying this, for somebody who has no NFL accolades, he's been in the NFL for 7 years and on 4 different teams. He sure is barking a lot.
Well, I'll tell you this. I went back and I watched all three of those games. All three of them. The last two, I will tell you, was a product of penalties and ignorant mistakes on defense. Most of them, to be honest with you, were from Fenton. And thankfully he's no longer here. But he caused a lot of those problems. And he created turnovers. And I mean, honestly, one of them, it really annoyed me because he was clapping every time he got a penalty. He clapped, and I'm like, "What are you clapping about? What are you so happy about? You just drew another penalty. It's your third of the game." And he's pointing at Cincinnati like they're the ones that did something wrong. He knew he did. It was all on him. Also, we didn't have Tony in. We didn't have McCole in. We didn't have Joe Tooney in, which was a huge, your best offensive lineman, in my opinion, not in the game, really kind of hurts. But there was a lot of ignorant mistakes on the defense and a lot of penalties, and that cost us tremendously in the last two games especially. The first game I don't even want to count. That was kind of a joke, especially towards the, it started in halfway through the second quarter, all the penalties, and some of them were, ticky-tack, but a lot of them were just crap. They weren't good. They shouldn't have been called. I'll put it that way. But I got to tell you, this defense is totally different. This is not the same defense that we had in 13. It's not the same defense we had in week 13, I should say. It's definitely not the same defense we had last year. So even Tyrann Mathieu made a lot of mistakes in that game. That, in fact, between him and Sorensen, I have to say, wow, the mistakes those two made on the field were atrocious.
There's a reason why they're no longer with the team, and I think what the Chiefs have now with Thornhill back there, and then also with Cook, and then other guys, the Chiefs are in a lot better spot defensively. They're younger, and they're able to react a lot quicker than beforehand. Like if Luke just said, we definitely have guys like him and Jalen Watson. Getting these guys to come in, they've been very helpful. I think this time around, Cincinnati's going to have a little bit more difficult time. Now, Cincinnati's probably still going to get theirs at points, but I think our defense will be able to come up, and that's going to also have to happen specifically on the defensive line. And Chiefs fans, we really need Chris Jones and the defense line to get three or more sacks in this game if they want to have a good shot of winning this, because you have to rattle Burrow. That offensive line, Quentin J. I don't know if I'm correct in this, but I think they've just lost. The right tackle's been gone for the rest of the season, and they've been having some issues.
Yeah,
so this is total.
Let me just go over their injury report. So we know they lost a guy earlier in the year, but right now they have their starting offensive tackle, who was their left tackle. Jonah Williams has missed the last 2 days of practice. He didn't practice at all with a knee injury. And their guard, Alex Kappa, who is their right guard, has missed the last two practices with an ankle. We know that this is an injured offensive line, and while they're backups, they're deep at those positions, right? Because they've spent draft capital there. Look, Chris Jones is the best defensive tackle in the NFL. There's a reason why he is third in the list of potential defensive player of the year's winners, is because he's been so dominant. This would be a great opportunity for Chris Jones to turn the narrative around about him not getting playoff sacks. Because if he's able to disrupt the game and get to Joe Burrow in this game, I think the conversation about him, being limited in his ability to end up in the stat zone for the playoffs will be completely erased. Because if Chris Jones can get there one or two times, I think you can say the Chiefs will win that game. Because that's how close these games are. That if you can get one or two plays on the defense, big plays, prevent a touchdown, get an interception, steal a possession, those sort of things are going to win you this game. And if Chris Jones is able to turn a potential 3rd and 3 into a 3rd and 17 by getting a sack, or instead of allowing a little check down to the slot receiver, I think that's how you steal possessions in this game, and that's how you give the ball back to your offense in order to go down and keep the ball moving for you and to win the game of field position. Because in the playoffs, those sort of things matter. When you're in the regular season, when you're facing teams like the Texans and the Broncos and the Raiders, those sort of things don't really matter. You can win in other ways. But when it comes to the playoffs, especially the championship game, this is how you win games. It comes down, all of the cliches that all the coaches say, all of those are true right now.
Well, you also have to really be mindful of time of possession. And the one thing I will say about Cincinnati is they are clock bleeders. They are very good at bleeding the clock. Probably one of the best teams I've seen bleed the clock. We have to, they go for a lot of fourth downs too. So we have to really limit what they can do on third and fourth down. We need to keep it 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10 all the time. If we're going to get into that position, it needs to be 3rd and long, because they will take a chance if they're 4th and 6 or below, especially against us. And Philip, he's right. I mean, you can't stop feeding Pacheco and McKinnon. You just can't. If they're running effectively, keep them on the field. Keep them running the ball.
And I think this is a time where you lean on the run game a little bit more, not because of Holmes' ankle, but we see with McKinnon and Pacheco what they've been able to do. Grind out the clock. I mean, this could be a game where we're going to see the running game be very, very helpful for the Chiefs. And this is one thing I think that's really going to help them. If you can have McKinnon continue to run the ball and Pacheco and things like that, it's going to leave a Joe Burrow on the sidelines. And if the Chiefs can get a touchdown, then get a field goal, then they score, and then get another still possession, and then get another touchdown. At that point, you could be looking at where the Bengals could be down 14, 17 points in a certain point of the game if they can bleed down the clock and use their plays effectively. This can't be anything where the Chiefs have 10 rushing tips total. You have to have a little bit more than 10. In my opinion, you need at least 20. I think the Chiefs could be very well have that, but I think they need to be very evenly distributed with their offense as a whole. They can't just be pass, pass, pass. And this, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I feel like this is a game where you can't go vanilla. You have to open up that playbook even more. That's how I feel personally.
This is going to be Andy Reid's pulling out everything. I mean, he may walk out there with an extra piece of laminated playbook out there for this game. Okay,
he might have his whole playbook with him.
Everything's on the table for this. I'll say this: I think that in order for the Chiefs to win this game, I think Kadarius Toney has to have a career day. I really do. I tweeted this out earlier because I was looking back at some of the stuff that happened earlier in the year. The way the Bengals were able to play the middle of the field earlier this year really limited how the Chiefs were able to move the ball. They basically played their safeties 10 to 15 yards-ish, more towards the 10 side of it. They were playing about 10 to 12 yards back, right? So they were really defending the sticks. And they were taking away a lot of those Travis Kelce 6-yard slants, those Juju Smith-Schuster 8-yard outs. They were taking a lot of those away because their safeties were playing so close to the first down marker and taking away those spots where the Chiefs are able to get a lot of cheap yardage because the Chiefs are able to generate so many yards after the catch. If you're able to bring those safeties in a little bit, you can stop a lot of those plays. Now, on the back end, it allows for some of those deeper balls, right? Because you're losing some of that deeper coverage protection that you have. But if they are starting to do that, if you see those safeties start to creep up, which I think there's a chance they will because they're going to come after Mahomes early. I wouldn't be surprised from the get-go. We might see 2 or 3 blitzes in the first drive because you're going to test Mahomes' ankle.
Oh, I really hope they do.
Those safeties are going to be down, and I think you can do one of those Kadarius Toney pop passes, or you can do one of those Kadarius Toney sweeps, come across, and do one of those wide receiver screens too. Basically, anything you do with McCole Hardman, do that with Kadarius Toney as well. I think if the Chiefs win this game, and in order for the Chiefs to win this game, I see Kadarius Toney having a huge day.
I'll agree, and I also think if you have Toney and Hardman on a pitch count, and they're both on the field at the same time, you could have a jet sweep. You can have Toney in the backfield.
Double screen somehow, somewhere.
And then you got Juju out there, and you've got 2 tight ends set, maybe even throw everything at him at one time. But the one thing I will say is, if they're stupid enough to blitz Mahomes after everything he has done against the blitz, they deserve to lose. And I'll say this: they didn't have the luxury. We didn't. They had the luxury of our defense not really making adjustments in the second half. We were beating them single-handedly. I mean, we had them at one point by 27 points. It was 27-0. Then it was 27-10. Then it was 28. I'm sorry, in one game. It was like we couldn't score in the second half. Tyreek missed at least 3 that I've seen.
Just went right through his hands.
Right through his hands.
And the offense was just stagnant.
Yeah, they were just completely stagnant. We don't have that now. We don't have that worry because what we need to do in this game is do exactly what we've been doing and spread the ball out and keep their defense on their toes. If you've got a 2 or 3 tight end set and you got Tony, McCole, and Juju on the field, look, man, I mean, it's virtually impossible to cover all those guys. They don't have anyone on their defense that is as fast as McCall Hardman or Tony, for that matter. I don't think either one of them can catch up to those guys. So once they break into the open field, it's going to be dangerous for them. And as long as there's no mental mistakes, which we had seen in prior games with Tyreek Hill, we won't have to worry as much. This is a different team. The defense has to really play hard and play for 60 minutes. They have to play for 60 minutes.
And that's one thing I get worried when we saw kind of with Spags and the defensive scheme. Not blaming him in particular, but we saw the AFC Championship game last year. The Chiefs were up 21-3 and then went to prevent Mo defense. I see what he was trying to do, but allow the Bengals to get a touchdown. You really can't do that. I think, like you said, they have to play all 60 minutes. The defense has to be prepared to sack Joe Burrow every single play. Now, are Joe Burrow and they're going to get there? They probably will. But the defense needs to play discipline and can make sure they can get to them. One thing we've seen last year as well, Chris Jones had Joe Burrow in his hands and he fell out. That can't happen this year. They have to get to him.
It happened 2 times. 2 times.
2 times? Okay. I only remember 1 time, but 2 times.
Yeah,
I'm glad I don't remember
happened
the other
twice.
one.
Chris Jones talked about that in all off season. He talked about it in the post game conference. He said that was his motivation for this year, is that he knew, and he blamed himself for the loss of the championship game last year, and he's right to, because there was 2 times where if he gets Burrow back, and because he was doing one of those like, I'm gonna run back and loop around, and if he gets him when he get his big hands on him, then you're talking about like 3rd and 27. I mean, that's how far back he was running before he was trying to get rid of the ball. And if you're able to get one of those sacks, man, you're putting them so far behind the sticks, you're knocking them out of field goal range. And I think that because they were up by so much, you can really seal the game right there. Honestly, I know this is an unpopular opinion, but I blame Mahomes a lot for what happened in the last year's AFC Championship game and why the offense was stagnant. Because after coming out of that second half, the Chiefs were not able to move the ball, and a lot of that was on Mahomes, who just played the worst football of his career.
And I would even also give that to Bieniemy too, as well, with the play calling.
Yeah,
I feel like it is partially Mahomes' fault. I give it to Bieniemy, but I would say honestly, it was a team effort in the second half that they just all acted like it didn't work out for them. So I think Mahomes deserves some blame, but I feel like, in my opinion, personally, every single person on that team deserves his blame because they didn't really step up until that last drive, and Mahomes almost even fumbled the ball away. So I mean, a lot of craziness happened. So.
Well,
honestly,
that fumble was on a low snap too, but
but I mean that was on a team loss. They were just doing uncharacteristic things that just should have never have happened in the first place.
And look, even the passes that he threw that were dead nut on the money, they dropped. So you can't. I mean, if he's making a solid effort to get the ball to them and they're wide open and drop it, that's on them. I mean, it's just it's on them. Look, we can debate what went on last year because last year's a totally different team than this year.
Absolutely.
And
especially on the defense.
And even offensively, we've got weapons that they didn't see last year. They knew. Look, we were so predictable last year that it was actually sickening. And
It was
how could you not know it's either going to be Kelsey or it's going to be Hill? That's just basically how we played the game. If it wasn't for Williams in the last couple of years, the running game would have been stagnant. Williams did a really good job of putting. I mean, he ran hard, especially when he had to start. Over Clyde, which has been pretty much every year since Clyde's been in the league. Somebody started for him because he'd been injured, but he kept us in that game. We were 11-4, they were 9-6 in that regular season game, and we gave it away. We shouldn't have given it away, but we did. That's in the past. What we have right now is a defense that's actually stepped up. They've done their job. They've gelled very well. Their penalties have declined tremendously over this year. I mean, the two games that we had 10 penalties or more in Mahomes' era, and in fact, I think it's the entire time Andy Reid's been our coach, was the two games that Sheffers called. And that's just the way it is. Right now, the referees, especially in the playoffs, have been, even Sheffers, which I was mind blown that he let some of those penalties go and didn't call as many as he normally does in that divisional game. I think they finally said, hey, it's time to chill out and just let these guys play ball. The other thing is the expedited
review process.
Has been phenomenal in the playoffs. They need to do that all year long because the penalties that he did call were challenged and they were reversed.
Yep, exactly. And that's what you need in a system. That's what you need.
Yeah. I think we're looking at I think everybody's looking at this in a bad light, just simply because of the past experiences against this team. But we are a different football team. I mean, Mahomes has really learned how to play in the pocket. He didn't need to do it all in 2 games like they had him do in 2021, or 3 games or 4 games when they made him stay in the pocket no matter what. But he's learned it, and he's gotten very good at it. So even if he falters a little bit with his ankle, which I don't think that's going to be the case, but if he does, he's a great pocket passer. And if they blitz him, they're going to pay for that. Because I watched so much All-22 this week, and I got to tell you, I can't remember. I had his numbers, but he has won. I can't remember if it was. I'd have to look the numbers up again, but his percentage on blitz is insane.
Yeah, he's one of the best quarterbacks against the blitz.
I mean,
best quarterback.
He's so good at it that teams just stopped blitzing him. Like that's what it became.
Yeah,
it's just teams just stopped blitzing him. And I mean, if I'm the Bengals, I'm blitzing him on that first drive. I am, because I want to test that ankle. I don't, I want to make sure. I want to see what his mobility is. And even if it means that I get burnt and scoring a touchdown, they have Joe Burrow, so I'm going to trust Joe Burrow to respond. So if I'm the Bengals, I'm blitzing him early, at least on that first drive while they're working out their first 15 plays. And I'm just seeing what does he look like in the pocket, because I think they would be silly not to blitz him early, because I just think that you need to make sure that you're testing and seeing how effective his ankle is going to be in moving in the pocket, because we know that Mahomes doesn't run like Lamar Jackson or a Josh Allen, right? He's not running into contact. He's not running to break off these 45-yard runs. I want to know can he make that throw where he's spinning in the pocket, trying to avoid pressure, and then can flick the ball to somebody who's trying to break their zone coverage, or when it's 3rd and 7 and we need the 8 yards. When they drop back guys into a deep zone, can he run for those 8 yards to pick up the first down? That's what I want to know. Now, out of everything we've seen, everything that they've talked about, it seems like Mahomes is heading in a positive direction. The guy is as Russell Wilson would say, he's got Wolverine blood or something like that. You know, we just you got to see, and you won't know until guys are trying to hit you, and it's as simple as that.
Well, I will say this: he ran for a 7-yard first down after his injury.
That's true.
So, and that was immediately after his injury. So I would say, and they're practicing for that. I mean, they're not practicing for him to be bull rushed. And they know that's what Cincinnati's going to do. If anybody in their right mind thinks they're not going to play dirty enough to just take him out of the game as soon as they possibly can, that's what they'll do. It's just not going to work. Because the offensive line, I will tell you, is going to step up just like they did in the second half of that game and keep him protected. And he's going to have every opportunity to be able to go out there and throw the ball. I have no doubt in that. I have no doubt with the videos I've seen and from everything I've heard from the people on the field in practice, I have no doubt that he's going to be able to play just like he normally plays. And I think he's going to be able to succeed. This is a game they're not going to let go of, and they're not taking lightly. Ask Willie Gay. And people can be mad about what Willie Gay said, but he's pumping himself up, he's pumping his guys up, and he didn't say anything that was outrageous. So I don't know why everybody took so much offense
all
to
that was said is someone asked, I forgot, one of the reporters asked him, what do you think is special about I think someone was like, what do you think is special about the Bengals' offense? And he said nothing. That's basically what he said. He just literally said the word nothing and kept it at that. And people were like, oh, bulletin material. Oh, great. I mean, you
bulletin material while your, corner or your defense is called, you beat the Chiefs once at Arrowhead and you're trying to call it Burrowhead and all that crap.
Yeah, and he backtracked on that, by the way. He did backtrack on that and said, I was just, he said his words, he said, I didn't mean it that way. It was a heat of the moment type of thing. He backtracked on it. And that's okay. He backtracked all he wants, but when you got other players like Apple holding up 3-0 and running his mouth constantly, it's not going to bode well for them. And I really hope that they run out to the logo in the middle of the field.
Oh, that will incite some more fire, because I think this is already a rivalry. I mean, I know we had the what was it called, the Colts versus Patriots rivalry for a long time. The Bills just don't seem like they have the it factor, and I really believe it's going to be Mahomes versus Burrow for years to come. The AFC Championship game, just kind of depending on how things work out. When you look at both teams,
they have to figure out in Cincinnati. And let me bring this up really quick, because I had seen a couple of comments on Twitter about worrying about Mixon. He's in that category, in my opinion, especially against us. He's in that category of Singletary. He is not the greatest running back of all time. I don't know what everybody's so worried about, but in the two games that he's played against the Chiefs, combined, 25 carries for 96 yards. And that's 2 games against the Chiefs. His average is 3.3 yards a carry. I am not concerned with Joe Mixon by any means.
I think the concern is the Chiefs, especially last week, struggled against Travis Etienne and the Jaguars run the ball. I mean, he had some runs. It was like, that's
okay, he's a better running back.
And he may be a better running back. And I just, as a whole, I see where Chiefs fans coming from, where the defense needs to make sure they're plugging all those holes and linebackers are ready to just crash down, because you don't want him to break one. And if happens in a point of a game, it's like, we got to worry about something else now. And Burrow's going to try to run too. I mean, he's going to try to get his.
Don't forget about P. Ryan.
And P. Ryan, yeah. And they got another. P. Ryan's a great scat back, so they have to make sure they're prepared for every single situation. They need to have like a spy out there, someone that can help in these different situations. Because
look for McDuffie doing that. I have a feeling McDuffie might be mixed in with that spy rover.
You don't think they would put that with Snead possibly instead?
It may be, but I got to tell you, Snead has been. You want Snead on the outside.
Just Snead does a good safety blitz cornerback blitz when you really need it.
That's what you need out of him. But he usually comes from the edge. He doesn't come from the middle. If you ever watch the cornerback blitzes that we perform, Snead's usually on an edge when he comes through.
He's the slot. He's covering the slot guy.
He's covering the slot guy. So I would say McDuffie, he's been really good in that area, in the middle of the field. And I think that will help tremendously. But I understand the worry to a degree, but also remember during that game you had a better running back that only had a short window of runs, and that was the first quarter. We shut him down after that. I mean, he didn't do anything after the first quarter in that Jaguars game. Mixon didn't do anything really for 4 straight quarters in 2 games. So we had a lot of injured players last year. We had a lot of players that weren't on the field. We had a lot of players, honestly, that weren't ready to play. This is a different team. And I'm not really they really did nothing to improve their defense. They did more to try to help protect Burrow, and he was still the highest sacked quarterback.
I agree with you. I agree with that statement.
Yeah. So
I do think that stopping the run is going to be important. Look, it's funny, we've got 1 and 2 in terms of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and I think that the run game is going to really determine who wins this game because both defenses are going to be so concerned with the quarterbacks that I think there's going to be a lot of really good run looks in this game. And if you get P. Ryan and Pacheco, room to run, they'll break one. Both of them will.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens on that remark. I'm not sure how you go about trying to stop a lot of the stuff that Cincinnati likes to do. I think this is going to be, both teams are going to be flirting with 30 easy.
I would push back on that a little bit, but
really,
I honestly don't see them getting 30 points on or close to 30 points on us. I think if our football team, especially defensively, plays.
I love your optimism, JP.
I've seen these guys grow week after week after week, and everybody on that team, from Jalen to McDuffie, everybody has gelled. They've gotten better week after week after week. We don't have the stupid penalties that cost us, 15, 20, 30 yards sometimes. Believe me, Burrow's going to try to take shots down the field.
Oh, for sure. He's going to chase. He's going to chase, no doubt.
Yeah, and look, as long as our rookie cornerbacks, because that's what he sees, is rookie corners. He's not thinking about the numbers that they put up this year, the numbers they did not, the touchdowns and yards they did not allow, and the minimal penalties that they had. He's not looking at that. He sees 4 rookies in the backfield, and that's all he sees. And that's going to be the demise of Joe Burrow. Because, look, I've said this before and I'll say it again. He's the fastest. Right now, he has to be the guy that gets rid of the ball the quickest in the NFL. He's the highest sacked quarterback in the NFL to go 2 years running. I mean, if there's a record out there for it, he's won it. There's no doubt that he's won that record. So if our secondary does their job and they keep everybody blanketed, that makes Burrow hang on to the ball a little bit longer. And all we need is another half a second, as fast as Clark is off the ball. And then you got Dunlap or Karlaftis on the other side doing their job.
And
Chris Jones up the middle. We're going to sack Burrow.
And this is a game where it's been very quiet from Dunlap, and I think this is where he can really make his presence felt.
Especially against his old team.
Exactly. And that's one thing I forgot.
Yeah. And not to mention the fact that he has actually batted down a pass in every single game he's played in 2022. Every game he has been in the regular season, he has batted down a pass. So we have to remember that he's always in the backfield. He's always creating havoc. And if you've got 2 guys coming from both sides and one up the middle and the other 2 are stuffing a run or protecting the run, whether it be Burrow or a running back, I promise you it's going to be hell on Burrow for the entire game. Philip said we also need to be more efficient in the red zone. Absolutely. I don't know. I mean, we've been pretty good as of
We're
late.
the most efficient red zone offense.
Yeah, right now we are.
Defense,
well,
towards the bottom. So
yeah,
and 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, running the ball have struggled being creative. I don't know why. I understand they love doing that sneak with the tight end. You gotta just do a run play. I don't know, run up to the side, do a pitch, do something. But what they've been doing has not been working. And that may come down to they really need to pick up a first down. And they don't because they've been struggling all year on 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've gotten better over the last 7 games, 8 games. They've gotten better each week. They've gotten better. As far as, I mean, on both sides. I mean, they've been a lot better on red zone efficiency in the offense and the defense. But we just have to keep those guys off the field. The longer you keep them off the field, the better off you are. And this is going to boil down to a Jalen Watson miracle, one-handed interception, or just being back there and intercepting the ball, making sure that our safeties are helping, and being in their, on their man and in their assignments, and just keeping everybody covered. I mean, they've done a good job of it. They just need to continue because, look, we've played better wide receivers than they. I'm not saying Chase is a bad one, but he does have his flaws. And remember, this is his second year. He's actually regressed from his first year when it comes to numbers and total touchdowns and actually catches. But I think we have the group in the defense that are going to be... Look, they have 2 weapons. When you really think about it, their 2 main weapons, their 2 wide receivers that they are their go-to guys, they still have those 2 same weapons. I mean, I don't know. Is Tyler Boyd still there?
Yes.
Okay. Boyd is one of those guys that you can put in that.
Boyd on a lot of teams, he's their number 3 receiver. Boyd on a lot of teams is a 2.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of good weapons.
They do.
You can also say this.
Boyd.
That's 3.
Yeah.
You got 3.
P. Ryan and...
well, they're running backs. I'm talking about wide receivers. They don't have a great tight end. I mean, he's nowhere near Travis Kelce or
nobody
even George
is,
Kittle.
but I would still. I mean, he's a nice compliment because they have those other 3. He's a competent tight end. I don't have to have a superstar, all-star tight end when I've got 3 solid weapons at the wide receiver position. So he's a nice compliment. If it's 3rd and 6 and my other guys are covered, I'm totally confident with throwing the ball to him and he'll get it. So
well, I don't know how much
they've got a lot of good weapons on that. I think it's. They may have the best group of weapons in the NFL, maybe outside of, probably not over the 49ers, and maybe not outside of the Eagles. But that you're definitely talking about a top 5, top 4, weapon selection for Joe Burrow in Cincinnati.
Because like the Chiefs, they can spread the ball around. That's the thing. It's not stuck into 2 guys.
Yeah, but they're not. I don't think their 3rd and 4th string guys are nearly as good as our 3rd and 4th string guys. I would say they're probably top 10, but I would never put them in a top 5 situation because if that was the case, they'd be one of the highest scoring teams in football, and they're not. I think they were 17th, if I remember right. We were the highest scoring team in football. Period. End of story. We beat San Francisco, high-scoring team. We beat every high-scoring team, the Eagles. So if they were that great, as far as that's concerned, they would be over that 30 points a game every game and average that for the season.
What I think this game was going to ultimately turn to is a chess match. Who can make the right adjustments when necessary, one of the right play calls. I mean, the Bengals, they may not be the best in certain areas, but what we know is all it takes is one game, one play, one instance, and a lot of things can change. So it's going to be a game, and I mean, when you're looking at it, both teams are probably going to score some points. Now, the only way that's not going to happen is if the defensive line gets to Burrow, rattles him. We're seeing like 2 forced fumbles and interception happening within that time and a bunch of punts. That's the only we're seeing. I mean, they have some weapons, and the only way for the Chiefs to kind of break them down is they got to really come out with intensity and get to Burrow quickly. They have to, because if they don't, this game is not. It's over.
I just don't. I guess my whole thing is if they were that great offensively, they'd be up into that 30, 36 points a game situation, and they're not. Now and you also have to look at their strength of schedule. They didn't have, again, for the second year straight, they didn't have the toughest schedule. It was actually pretty lax. So if they scored anything close to 30 on most teams, that was usually the teams that weren't that great. I mean, look at Buffalo. Buffalo did nothing right in that game. Nothing. But they held them to 24 points. So I think they may have the weapons that could be better on it in a different system, but they're not really showing that much right now in this system. I think they have the weapons. Maybe some of them are great. This system doesn't show that they're that great. We have 1, 2, 3 receivers on our team over 800 yards. 3. They do. I mean, one of them is 1,300 yards. You know, I mean, of course, with Travis Kelce. I think Juju didn't he hit 1,000?
No, he didn't.
He got 9 something, right?
I think he fell in that 800 range, but he didn't hit the 1,000.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. I know he was over 800. I just don't see. I don't see the level of experience that I see with other teams in the NFL that are in this position. Am I saying they're? In fact,
if you look at the receiving, don't interrupt you, but if you look at the receiving core, Kelsey's been a part of multiple championship runs. MVS was with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay and went all the way to the AFC Championship game. Juju has been part of the Wigan organization. A lot of these guys the Chiefs are brought in have had some playoff experience. And a lot of these guys on the Bengals, this is their second go-around. So, it's going to be interesting to kind of see what's going to happen from that take. Just kind of looking at the schedules and everything, the Bengals, when they played against a team like the Ravens, when you had a really, really, really good defense go after you, we saw that the Ravens in a way kind of not fold. I'm sorry, the Bengals didn't really fold, but it was a lot closer game, and they basically took for a fumble run back away for a touchdown to kind of put that game out of reach. So I do see your point. Now, the Ravens' defense has always been pretty good, and I think the Chiefs can aspire and get to those levels. But I feel like just this game as a whole, there are going to be some more fireworks for this AFC Championship game. And the only way that's not going to happen is if a lot of things go the Chiefs' way. A lot of fumbles, the crowd gets to burrow, they can't communicate, things like that.
Yeah, and I think that's going to play a huge part in it. I think, the defense is they've really come around. And if they continue to play the way they've been playing and just play 60 minutes, we've shown, even with the bad defense, we showed that we could keep them on the ropes until our offense sputtered. Really, when you think about it, it wasn't. Our defense was gassed because they were out there so much, and they sputtered, and the offense couldn't score. For some reason, they couldn't score, whether it be play calls or drop passes or whatever the case was. I don't see that happening with this group of guys. I just don't see it. I am very optimistic about this game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I would love to see. I would love to see at least a 10-point win. If we beat them by 10, I'm happy. I'd love to see more, but if we could beat them by 10, I'm probably the happiest guy on the planet. The only reason I'm saying that is because they've never beaten us more than 3 points. And usually it comes down to the end of the game before they do it. So I would like to see a 31-17 game. I would love to see that. I would love to see us just shut them down. In every aspect, just shut them down. What's Will saying? Hello, gentlemen. A lot of national media picking the Bengals. I saw that. Let him pick. If they're using Vegas odds, it's changed 3 times this week.
It has.
Yeah, it's going back and forth.
Yeah, ankle watch.
Yeah. Honestly, that's really what it all boils down to. Is they're really not, look, last week, everybody picked the Chiefs to win. They didn't have a choice. Everybody did. Pretty much, I think there was 2 national analysts on, if you combine every national TV show that was on during that, or prior to that, 2 of them picked the Jags. They will find a reason to pick against the Chiefs. They've been doing it for 5 years.
Skip Bayless.
Yeah.
And Stephen A. Smith and all those guys.
Cowherd did it until he finally woke up. He may be still picking the Bengals this week. I don't know. I
guarantee you, a lot of people are going to pick the Bengals.
And I hope they do. I'm glad, because every time that happens, every time somebody else picks against us or the majority does, that really fires our team up. And I will say this, on pretty good authority, that Andy has been really angry this past week. The comments have been getting to him. the things that have been brought up have been, even he's been very short in the presser both times, and a couple of, except for today, he was okay, but for the most part, he's been pretty short. And a lot of that is because of the people asking him questions. There's two that he just doesn't like. And when they ask very stupid questions, he's going to blow them off and move on. And they frustrated him. But he's also frustrated by the comments that are being made by the players of Cincinnati, their fan base, a lot of different things. So he's going to come out with something to shut them down. I just feel it. I'm hoping and praying that he does his job and calls every play. Now,
yeah, I don't think it wouldn't make sense if the enemy calls any plays. I don't care who his offensive coordinator is. This is Andy Reid. This is a championship game. This is on Andy Reid. Yeah. Andy Reid's better be calling all of those plays because this is your moment. You're one game away to go to his fourth Super Bowl because he went to one with the Eagles with McNabb. Mm-hmm. So, you have a real opportunity here. I know we've hosted five of these things in a row, but, so me saying this doesn't happen very often, I guess doesn't resonate with Chiefs fans anymore. But this doesn't happen, right? So you got to take advantage of it whenever you get the opportunity. Look at a team like Buffalo, right? They were anointed the, Super Bowl champion of the offseason. They didn't even get to the championship game. So, these things don't happen. You have to hit while the iron is hot, and Andy Reid's going to call some plays, and we're going to see some doozies. Travis Kelce is going to be open on a 15-yard streaking route, and we're going to stand up and we're going to scream, how the hell is he that open, like we do every week?
Yes, that is true. We do that every week. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the crazy thing. You'd be like, how is Noah Gray open? Why is Kelce? Hold on, what's Juju do? It's just every single week, something. But it's all for scheming. I mean, if you look at one thing, whenever the Chiefs were driving on that touchdown, 98-yard touchdown drive, and Henny was the quarterback, if you look at that, the Chiefs love doing the pick plays at the 1-yard line.
Yeah.
Doing things like that when it's legal, and they've done it legally. We see one, it got them later in the game where they weren't supposed to do it. You could say it's either here or there because it was kind of.
Yeah. Caleb, I have a problem. I'm going to let you in on a little insight here.
Tell me.
When we are on offense, when the Chiefs are running their offense, they're not called pick plays, okay? They're called rub routes. When we are on defense, all of those are pick plays. That's the way it works.
You could call it either
They're
way,
all pick plays. When we're on offense, they're rub routes, okay?
Well,
I mean, as long as it gets in the end zone, I mean, it works so. But it is, in a way, it is because what you see is whenever basically the wide receiver gets in front of the defender and actually going to catch and just stops. I mean, I've seen Andy do this so many times, but you're saying it's called rub route?
Rub route. They're called rub routes because rub routes are not – that's not offensive pass interference. A pick play is offensive pass interference. The Chiefs never commit offensive pass interference.
They never – I would say
they don't do it. Even when it gets called, didn't happen. It didn't see it. That's a rub route. I don't care that Juju Smith-Schuster just put a shoulder into that slot corner right there so Travis Kelce can get wide open. That's a rub route. I don't care what you're talking about. I didn't see it.
Yeah, well, I will say this.
They're
regardless of the name, I think it's very effective.
They're rub routes when the Chiefs are on offense. They're pick plays when the exact same thing happens and the Chiefs are on defense.
I don't care what you call it, as long as it works. You can call it a rub play. Touchdown. You can call it a scrub play. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it a dry eraser. I don't care. As long as it works, I'm happy with it. And we have been making it work. Will said this gets me fired up. It should. That's what we're here for, Will. I think a lot of emphasis has been put on, again, prior games. But the one thing I will bring up, defensively, if we can call some exotic plays and keep Burrow on his toes, he's not going to be able to score. It's just not going to happen. He needs a bad day. And that's the thing that I think he's missing right now. That's why his little arrogant comment, about, well, how long do you think your Super Bowl window's open? Until I retire?
That's
sorry, but that's arrogant.
Patrick Mahomes
he's never said that.
No, but it's the same thing. He has that mentality.
Okay, but he doesn't spit it out all over national
that's
media.
like when he was asked about him being the underdog, he said that he doesn't feel like he's the underdog, especially at Arrowhead.
Well, he
the same
says he
principle.
never feels like he's the underdog at
Yeah.
Arrowhead. So that what he meant by that, though, is that the fans and the crowd and being at home helps him not feel like an underdog. But that's okay to say that. That's not him saying, I'm the best there ever was. He's saying, I don't feel like an underdog because I'm at home with my fans and they're helping me out. You know, they're helping our team out. Burrow was arrogant in that comment. And I think, what's up, man? So I think it was an arrogant comment, and it's probably going to come back to bite him. And the one thing that he is missing in his 2 years is a complete meltdown game.
I mean, all the greats have
those.
had them.
Yeah,
All the
Mahomes
greats have
had
had at least one bad playoff game. So.
Mahomes
Exactly.
had that exact kind of game last year in the AFC Championship game.
Exactly.
In that second half.
And he also had it in the Super Bowl the year before. So when Mahomes couldn't...
I mean, that really wasn't...
It wasn't
we didn't
him,
Tit for
but
tat
I'm
with
just saying-
that. But we would say that
I mean,
this
the guy
last one was like
guy
the
went
game.
horizontal. You know, he went
I
parallel
understand
with
he
the
was
turf
trying.
and through the ground.
I understand
And I
that.
think that same mentality. Look, Patrick Mahomes, a lot like a lot of the great quarterbacks and just great athletes of just every sport you could think of. They have that just like over my dead body mentality, right? That's the mentality we saw in the Super Bowl game against the Buccaneers, right? It was no matter what the odds were, I'm going to do everything possible and sometimes what seems impossible. I'm going to do everything that I can to try and win this game. And I think Mahomes is going to have another one of those games. And I think a lot of that is because of the comments that, you know, we're hearing. If we remember before that Bucks game, they were chirping. So I think that there's
I hope they chirp their ass all the way down to the airport. Keep chirping. Chirp your way across the street. Chirp your way wherever you want to go. But keep doing it, because the more you chirp, the more you falter. And that's going to happen to them.
Well, I would say, if anything, this is giving the Chiefs great bulletin board material to like kind of focus on. Because as we see with Justin Reed, I mean, he didn't say the same stuff he said last time, but he was saying things such as, we're ready, we appreciate this motivation, things like that. They know what happened last game. Philip brings up a great point. The last time the Chiefs lost to a team by 3 points in the season, they end up beating them in the playoffs. That was against the Titans.
Beat him in the AFC Championship game, yeah.
We can see something very similar. A lot of stuff can happen, and yeah, there's many different things. And looking, I mean, everyone has a different opinion. I just think as long as the Chiefs play mistake-free football and are able to capitalize and take advantage of certain situations and schemes, they're going to be in a better position than what they were last year. You can't take your foot off the gas. Don't even take your foot off the gas if it's 35-0. You need to keep going and going and going. No one's prevent defense. That's how you give the Bengals confidence, like we saw the AFC Championship game last year, where they're able to get that touchdown at the very end. You have to make sure this team is playing and working and going and going and going. Because if you give them a little inkling, they're going to use that and use that to help them.
Yeah, you got to slam the door.
Momentum is just rare. It's a very weird thing. I've seen it happen a lot. One play is doing great for a team. Next thing you know, they are struggling because they don't have the momentum. The Chiefs need to get on that quick, and also Arrowhead has to be loud. They have to be loud. They need to break the record. I know it's 142.2, but they need to get 152.2. They need to be loud. That was disrespectful for that man to call it Burrowhead. Now he can take back his comments and things like that, but what he said is recorded and is on the internet for forever.
Well,
So
you know, it shows how dumb he is.
The fans need to step up. That's the thing too, and I think that's one thing where we get that Arrowhead mystique back, where we see as the John Elway telling everyone to quiet down. Now, no one's going to tell anyone to quiet down, but you need this group of fans to be very loud, show up, and be proud like they've done every single game. Because this is probably one of the biggest games we've seen in Chiefs team in a long time.
Well, this Jeffy guy is right, too. He said Chiefs play better when Mahomes is hurt, and they do. Because they're trying to protect him. Number one, they protect more. But also, he plays better. I mean, if you look, his high ankle sprain that he had, what was that, 18 or 19?
19, because he injured it.
2019, when he injured it, he came back the following season, the following game, and threw for almost 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. So, that's another stat. Mahomes is tied with 4 other quarterbacks for the most 5 touchdown games, whether it be regular season or playoffs, combined. And those are guys that played 5 times the games he's played. Some of them even more. I mean, Brady only had 9 in his career, and that was 300 and some odd games. 383 games, almost 400 games. He had 9. Montana, I mean, he wasn't even, like, I wish I could bring that stat up right now. I know one of them was
not
Roethlisberger.
Sheffers, Will, not Sheffers.
Well, one of them was Montana, one of them was Rodgers. Brady is up there high. He's got 9, but at 23 years, you're going to have 9, or you should. It's crazy to think the stats that he's put up that Burrow's never even come close to. I mean, they were bragging because he had, I think it was 5 games this season with 300 yards. 5 games. Mahomes does that usually within the first 5 games. He has 300 straight 5. In fact, I think he holds the record for the streak for most 300-plus yard games. Right now, I think his record was 8. 8 or 9.
That might have happened that 2019 year, or that 2018 year when he just came out firing.
Last year, he actually had, I think, 8.
I want to talk about the defense here for just a minute. Uno momento. Joe Burrow is really good against zone coverage.
Yeah.
The Chiefs cannot do what the Bills did and just play zone coverage for a majority of the game.
No.
The Chiefs are going to have to play some man coverage. And they're going to get burned on it, right? That's going to happen because, like we talked about earlier, guys like Jamar Chase is just the second, third best receiver in the NFL, right? Behind Tyreek Hill and Justin Jefferson. I just don't want people to freak out when they see the Chiefs play man coverage, and probably a good chunk just because Joe Burrow was so good against zone, and there's only so many guys on the field that can help in man coverage, because a lot of this is going to come down to pressure. And like we talked about this a little bit earlier, but I just want to reinforce this, that
Right.
If you have to send extra guys after Burrow, then you're sort of giving up that extra guy, whether it's Snead on a corner blitz or you're sending Bolton down the middle, right? No matter who you're sending, they will not be, they won't be in coverage. And there was a play that was run, I think it was that interception that the Chiefs had against Jacksonville. I watched that play back a ton because I was trying to figure out who was the extra blitzer on that play, but I couldn't tell because of the way their jersey was turned. I had to go watch like 3 camera angles to figure out who it was. It was Justin Reed, by the way. And when I was watching that, I ended up just seeing how the defense was played for that on that play. They were playing zone in the middle with the linebackers and man coverage on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that defensive play with some variations on it, I think that's going to be the kind of scheme we see in this game, because by playing your zone over the middle, right, with Willie Gay and Nick Bolton, you're eliminating a lot of those, easy over the middle stuff, but you're playing man on the outside to try and make every throw that you possibly can contest it. And that leaves you with your 2, safeties, where you can either have one roll down and cover the slot guy while you send Snead on a blitz, or you have one of them come down and play and do the blitzing themselves, or you keep both of them out playing some, zone, or you have one of them bracket, right? So you can see the possibilities here, right? I don't want to bore anybody with this talk,
You just have
but
to be really careful, though,
you
because
point
you
out-
have to have safety help. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to. If you don't have that, similar to what Chase did to Ward the first time, you don't want that to happen again. So you have to have safety help out there. Philip, brought that up, and he's right, because if you don't, you're leaving somebody wide open like a Chase, which I would put Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Jefferson, then maybe Chase.
Yeah, so 4.
Yeah, I would say he's top. He's definitely a top 5 wide receiver.
He's a damn good wide receiver.
His numbers haven't really shown it this year, but he did regress this year. But I'm saying he's not. He's still a top 5 receiver. I'm not going to say he's not, but I don't think he's 2 or 3. I think he's probably 4 or 5. There's a lot of wide receivers out there. I mean, you've got D-Hop. You've got a lot of guys out there that are just phenoms. You put D-Hop on the right system, even at age 30, he's going to be better than Chase. But I think the majority of this conversation is going to boil down to, and I mean, this game is going to boil down to exotic schemes on the defense, keeping Burrow guessing, and keeping him running. You got to keep him running backwards. He can't run forward. He's got to run backwards. Now, is he going to do a bunch of runs? I don't think so. Burrow still has to protect his knee, regardless of what. His knee is not. It's not ever going to be the same as it was prior to that injury. So, and he doesn't do the same recovery workouts and everything that Mahomes does. I don't think anybody does. Mahomes has worked, like his first high ankle injury, great example. He's done nothing but work on that since it happened. And that plays a big part in why this one didn't affect him as much as the last one did. You know, he's had 4 pretty good injuries in his career. 2 high ankles, a knee, and one other one. I can't remember what it was.
The toe injury.
The
which
toe.
He actually
What's up,
said,
Chiefs Live?
He actually said that was his most painful injury. Was
yeah,
his toe.
I mean, that's terrible. That was real turf toe. When your tendon rips, that's turf toe.
Yeah, he said that every time he was like walking or running, he had to curl his toe because it hurt so much. He talked about that early in the. Yeah, he talked about that earlier in the week when he was. Somebody asked him. I don't remember who it was. Somebody asked him about, was this the most painful injury? And then he talked about how bad that toe injury hurt. So,
I mean, look, turf toe is no joke. I watched George Brett go through it, and that was. I mean, he's been through a lot of things, or he went through a lot of things. Most of them were self-inflicted, but the turf toe thing was rough on him.
Yeah, including too much pine tar on his bat.
Well, that was a comical thing. But, I think the best was the hemorrhoid situation with George Brett. And I don't know if anybody remembers that, but yeah. His butt basically ripped apart. So, you know, there's a lot of things that happened to George Brett, and a lot of that, again, was self-inflicted. But regardless, kind of jumped off track there, but Mahomes has been through 4 significant injuries, and he has done everything he can possibly do with Bobby and the medical staff, which we have, in my opinion, this is not homerism, we have the best medical staff in football. We absolutely have the best medical staff in football. Internal medical staff, there's nobody better than us.
I mean, I think you could compare that. I think there's absolutely some evidence behind that where the Chiefs don't have as many soft tissue injuries as a lot of other teams have. Yeah. So I think that, you know, while it's hard to put like a direct number on it, I do think that you could at least say that the Chiefs are better than a lot of organizations out there just because that there are a lot of soft tissue injuries that don't happen. Yeah, I just saw that comment.
Yeah.
Philip did say that, you know, that 3 wide receiver set. I think that the Chiefs are going to run a lot of 12 personnel or 3 tight end sets, or at least 2 tight end sets, because if they want to keep in an extra blocker, and JP, I believe we talked about this earlier in the week on Tuesday, where I think that Jody Fortson to me is going to be back on this roster.
Oh yeah, he's already on the roster. So.
Yeah, but he's going to be. I should say this. Let me say.
No, he's active. Yeah,
active.
He's the one
he should be on
active.
that. He should be on the game day roster.
He will be, yeah.
I think you run with Kelsey Gray and Fortson, right? If you run that, then what you can do is you can keep one in for an extra blocker and run the other 2 out into passing. And what that does is that allows you to keep your extra blocker and to give Mahomes more time, but also you can run out of your, 2 or 3 tight end sets. And I think Pacheco's going to get the ball quite a bit.
Yeah.
I don't think the Chiefs need to run the ball 20 times, but I think the Chiefs need to be able to tell the Bengals defense, hey, we could run the ball if we want to. And that's going to help Mahomes. It'll keep some of the pressure off Mahomes. I'd love to see some, play action pass work with a guy like Kadarius Toney, sort of circling back around to what we talked about earlier. If the Chiefs are able to run some of those creative wide receiver screens where, it's sort of a run pass option, but it's a screen with Kadarius Toney out to the left side, for example, and you're able to keep out an extra blocker, let's say Noah Gray, is able to come out as an extra blocker out there, right? These sort of things, these quick passes, these quick hitting passes, I would expect some of these plays to just be in the first 15 of the plays that Andy Reid is going to call. These sort of plays is what's going to help you get an advantage early and take the lead. This is the kind of game that you save those for, right? Us three have had this conversation about how, later in some of the games, like against some of the other teams in the NFL we were facing, middle of the year, we were like, man, there just didn't seem to be that much sizzle in the Chiefs offense. Yeah, they won, but I feel like they could have scored more. The reason we talked about that, because this is the game you save the sizzle for. And I think we're going to see a lot of that stuff too.
I agree. And also, let's not forget that we have McKinnon.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
His game is stupid. When you got a guy that has, as a running back, has more touchdowns in a wide receiver role than anybody since the merger, I would say let's really be careful. If anybody's got to watch you or watch a player, it's going to be McKinnon. And if you got McKinnon in the backfield next to Pacheco, or even not next to Pacheco, but then you run a 2 or a 3 tight end set, and you got Toney out there, you got Juju out there, and you just say you may have McColl out there. That is an extremely hard package of guys to cover.
Because you don't know who to cover the situation. And when you think it's one person, it's going to be another. And I think that's where it comes down to the scheme-wise. The Chiefs need to take advantage of that. Yeah. I mean, Andy has been phenomenal in his career, making to where guys are open, like Quentin said, 15 yards. And we're like, what in the world happened? They have to take advantage of those. They have to. Because some of those plays are probably going to be the game.
And Kelsey remembers, too. Mm-hmm. Kelsey absolutely remembers that drop pass last year. He remembers that drop pass that he had. It was a pass that he should have caught. There was actually 2 that he dropped, but one of them was knocked out of his hand on a weird throw. But I think he remembers everything that went on last year. Everybody does. And the guys that are new, that haven't played Cincinnati, maybe played him earlier this year, but the guys that weren't in, they're all pumped up for this too. They've seen all the talk. They've seen all the rhetoric. They're just as pumped up as the guys that, had to play him last year and the year before. So this is going to be, I think everybody's in for a rude awakening when it comes to this game. What is Philip saying? The O-line will need to keep Mahomes clean if the offense is to operate efficiently with Toney and 17 back. Yeah, passing game will be shortened. Oh, Hendricks and Herbert's time to get. Yeah, you're right. We got Toney back in this game, and
that's important.
No, that's so underrated right now. I mean, that dude is extremely important to the success of Mahomes and being protected. And the way they did it last week in that second half when he was injured, they did
a very good job.
Unbelievable.
And I think it's fair to at least have the argument that the Jacksonville Jaguars have a better defensive front than the Bengals do.
Oh, hands down.
Hands down.
They have a very, very great front.
In fact, if I looked at that, if I'm not mistaken, their defensive line in Cincinnati is either ranked 17th or 23rd in the league.
Yeah,
if I remember right.
If you're a football nerd and you just want to see, you don't necessarily watch the ball the whole game like me, but you watch some of the players, I would say watch the safeties if they appear on screen, because if they do, they're playing that short safety look that they did a lot of last game. Yeah. And the Chiefs can beat that with some of those wide receiver screens like we were talking about earlier, because you're you're helping it to break to the outside, and a guy with like McCole Hardman and Kadarius Toney's speed, if the safeties take bad angles, they're going to go for huge gains. And then on the defensive side of the ball for the Chiefs, I would say watch the linebackers, because if the linebackers are playing, if they're scooting down and getting close to the line and then dropping back into zones, I would assume that they're playing a lot of that zone man coverage like they did versus Jacksonville too. So I think those are two of the positions that you may not spend a lot of time normally watching, but I'm definitely going to watch those, I guess, 4 players on each defensive side, because how they play to me is going to determine a lot how this game goes, even though safeties and linebackers, are generally not the sexiest position to watch.
I would have to disagree with the linebackers. I'm a linebacker lunatic, especially with what we've got now as far as our line. I love to watch those guys play, because they play with so much intensity, and they're so their football IQ is so high that they're able to do things that most guys can't. I mean, Nick Bolton is, in my opinion, 1-2 in the league right now.
Oh, Nick Bolton's awesome.
Yeah. You got Willie Gay, his athleticism is ridiculous, and he can make some plays that most people can't in that position. And then you got Leo Chenal, that has come on very strong this year.
For a rookie, has done very well.
Played very well. I mean, I love to watch that position. Safeties I like to watch them just to see how much help they actually give a corner, how much they can stop over the middle, how many plays can they stop in an end zone. That's what I like to see out of a safety. We've had our struggles in the safety position prior to this year. So, mainly last year. And the year before with Sorensen, and the year before that. Well, I can go back to 18 with Sorensen, but I don't want to go that back. Anyway, he's gone. So when it really boils down to it, we have a better core group of guys that are they're young, so they're hungry. Look, man, you got guys on this team, first-year guys that have an opportunity to go to a Super Bowl. First-year rookies that have an opportunity as starters to go to a Super Bowl. If that's not enough motivation for these guys to go out there and play as hard as they can absolutely play, I don't know what is. But that's some straight motivation. We got to get to your Believe It or Not and our
score prediction.
And our score predictions, because we are at an hour and 13 on this one, and I'm okay with that. We can talk for 3 hours, but it's too late for everybody else. So,
okay, so I kind of want to. I want to focus on the offensive side first for the Chiefs here. I think that Kadarius Toney has to have a big day for the Chiefs to win, just because he is that X factor in terms of this Chiefs offense. They didn't have him in the last couple of matchups, and I think he's just going to be a big part of it. So, believe it or not, Kadarius Toney has 75 yards from scrimmage.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's very possible. Rushing in. Are you saying all purpose or just in general?
Yeah, from scrimmage. So that's rushing and receiving.
He's going to have that for sure. And he's going to find ways to be creative and use him in all many different situations. I think that very well will happen.
Yeah, with his ability to run routes, break tackles, and be so elusive, I think is going to really boost the 75 yards. He may even have, I'm going to go as far as to say he has 75 plus and a touchdown. Will said, I think if McCole plays, I like our chances even more. I agree, because McCole's that guy that even if he's out there, he's another guy that they have to keep an eye on. So I absolutely agree with you on that, Will.
Okay, so then my next one is going to focus on the Chiefs, who have turned the ball over a couple of times in the last few matchups. So believe it or not, the Chiefs win the turnover battle and don't end up making those plays like the Patrick Mahomes interception or the Travis Kelce fumble.
I think they will win the turnover battle. Whether if they turn the ball over once, I think they can get a couple turnovers and take the ball away from Cincinnati. I believe they will win that battle.
I agree. And I I would almost say that this may be the game that you don't see a turnover out of the Chiefs. I want to.
That's bold, man. That's very, very
I want to
bold.
believe it. I want to believe it. We will win that turnover battle, and I have a feeling that this may be the game that we just don't make a mistake on that side, on that part of it.
I think this is going to be heavily involved in the conversations that Andy Reid and all of the assistant coaches are having with the players, that these games are so close that this can come down to just one possession, and like they have every other time. So maintaining possession of the ball, not fumbling. Don't fight for the extra yard. When you already got 15 yards after the catch, just go down. Don't let them stand you up and punch at the ball a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Just go down, and I think that's how you prevent some of those fumbles. And I think Mahomes is going to be so locked in, and with how quickly I think the ball is going to be coming out of his hands, I don't think that there's going to be a lot of time for double coverage to come in, because it's not like that the Bengals are going to be playing double man coverage from the start. So I think that, the Chiefs, I agree with you, JP. I don't think the Chiefs, in order for the Chiefs to win this game, they can't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
And I don't think they're going to. I really don't believe they will.
Okay, so, onto the defensive side of the ball, for the last couple of weeks and even last postseason, we've talked a lot about Chris Jones hasn't had a playoff sack, but that's an old narrative. We're going to switch to a new one, okay? We're going to make this exciting. Frank Clark is 4th all-time in playoff sacks, tied with, I think,
Reggie White. Yeah.
So he has 12. Suggs has 12 and a half. Can he and will he get 3rd all-time? So basically he has to get at least half a sack to tie him. So will Frank Clark get a sack?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is a different Frank Clark that we've seen in the last couple of years. He's motivated. He's ready to go, and I think he will get a sack. And I will not be surprised if he gets even another one. It's 2 to his collection. This is the Frank Clark that we got from the first year. And I think what we've seen, everything he's done so far, and I think he's very, very motivated. Quentin, I remember seeing at camp. I mean, he did not look like himself. He was faster, skinnier. I mean, this guy was just out there balling, doing great things. So I really believe he can get 1, and I would not be surprised if he ups the ante and gets 2. This is a big game, and he knows it. He knows it. I think he very well could just submit himself in this a legacy game for him.
Yep. Yeah, he's going to he's gonna be, in my opinion, he is the playoff X factor for our defense. He has been, and I think he's going to continue that streak. And I'm going to bring up Chris Jones because I feel terrible for the guy. I think he's going to get his sack in this game, if not more than one. And he's going to get one at least, and he's going to be involved in another one. He's going to be the reason why Burrow gets put down 3 to 5 times in this game. That's what I feel like's coming.
So I think that Frank Clark going to get a sack, and my argument is twofold, and I'll make this really quick. One, I think Chris Jones is going to get double-teamed the entire game because they have bad guard play because they have a backup guard in there, right? So that you're going to have to at least shift the protection over to Chris Jones. We know if you just look at history, the best pass rushers in the NFL usually end up with another guy on the line that's getting sacks, and it's because the best pass rusher is getting extra look at him, which means there's less people to attend to whether he's a good, not great player, but he ends up with great stats because there's just another guy that the offense is trying to stop. So I think Frank Clark gets back there. I think this entire defensive line not only has the ability to dominate, but really needs to cause problems in both the pass and rush game, because if your pass rushes are getting there, then it doesn't matter how good your corners are because you're going to force bad throws.
I agree.
Okay. That's all 3 of them. So who wants to start? Caleb, you want to start with your score prediction?
Yeah. My score prediction is this. I feel personally this game is going to be a little closer, but I think the game will be going to 30s. I'm going to say 36. I'm going to say 36, 34 Chiefs. I think this could possibly come down to a field goal. I'm going to say 36, 34 Chiefs.
Okay. What do you got, Quentin?
I think that I also think this game is going to be closer. Just because you've got two great teams going up against each other. Blowouts don't happen, and the fact that all three of these games have been within 3, I think that there is a trend. There's a trend there that says that this game should be within a 3-point margin. So I think I'm going to go with 28-31 Kansas City, and Butker gets his game-winning field goal to head to the Super Bowl. So
what was your numbers again? 38 what?
28-31.
Okay.
So I think the entire narrative about Butker is about to be flipped because Butker's about to knock in a 42-yard field goal to win the game and head to the Super Bowl.
I would be very happy if that happens. As long as they win. As long as they win.
That's true.
I want to hear. I also, if you guys are listening, I want to hear your score predictions, but I'm going to throw mine out while you're typing yours in. I'm probably the odd man out here, and I will be, and I'm fine with that.
24-17?
No. I'm going to say 31-17. Kansas City.
Oh, right.
And,
Philip just – I'm sorry.
Oh.
He said the same thing as you. Okay. All right.
Oh, that's
you guys
awesome.
on the same page.
Yeah. I think the Chiefs are going to just – this is the game that they prove who they are. And I think this is going to be it. They're going to play angry. They're going to play smash mouth football. And it's going to be I think it's going to be at least a 10-point margin. Because they don't want to go out there and win by 3. That's what they lost by. They want to go out there and show their dominance. Their dominance is winning by 10 or more. They have the record of coming back in the playoffs for the most part. Nobody's done what they've done in the playoffs to come back, three consecutive games, and then also in the Super Bowl. So I would say this is that game that they just say, I'm done. There's no more talk about who's better, who's worse. Because look, for all intents and purposes, he said two minds think alike. Hey, man, I think they're two great minds think alike. But anyway, Zinger, look, Scott's got it, 35-24. I like that one, too. Hey, I'm good with that.
Look, I'm good with the Chiefs. I don't care. They can win by 1 point. If they want to
No.
I'm with Quentin as long as they win. As long as they win.
Dude, if somehow they win by half a point, I don't give a shit. I just need
to win.
I'm going to tell you right now, that's not going to work for me because I don't want to hear anything that we've heard. I don't want to hear. We've said it.
Hey, got a Chiefs fan. Not being good enough with the win. They have to win by a bunch.
Quentin, we have said it to how many people? They've won by 3 points. They've won by 3 points. I don't want a win by 3 points. I want to show, just like the team wants to show, straight up dominance and show who's the best in the NFL. Right now, the narrative is flipping with all these national talking mouths and heads and faces and butts. I want to hear them come out and say, wow, we were just stupid to think that anybody is better than the Chiefs. And Marcus Spears said it best. He said, you may have this, you may have that, but anybody out there that thinks that Patrick Mahomes is not the best quarterback in football, there's something wrong with you. He is absolutely hands down the best quarterback in football. Burrow's a close third. I would put Aaron Rodgers at 2 because Aaron Rodgers has the background. He plays more exotic ball, similar to Mahomes does. When he has an offense that he can throw the ball. Aaron Rodgers hasn't had an offense. Who's he throwing the ball to? Some Cub Scout. He has nobody. You give Aaron Rodgers Cincinnati's offense, he's 5 times the quarterback that Burrow is. Because he runs out of the pocket, he throws across his body, he's accurate. He's a much better quarterback in my opinion. But that's just me.
Was that Drew Bledsoe that said I can't throw the ball and catch it too?
Yeah, no, that was Joe Flacco, I think. Wasn't it?
First, well,
I'm
Joe
not for
Flacco,
sure.
But I think it was Drew Bledsoe that said I can't throw the ball and catch it too.
Oh no, Elvis Grbac said that.
Okay, Gerbach.
Elvis Grbac said that. I remember that.
All those late '90s quarterbacks.
Yeah,
just sort of mixed up.
What an idiot. But anyway, look, man, I'm fired up about this game. I'm fired up, probably more than I've been fired up in a long time about a football game. I think this ranks up with going to the Super Bowl in 19 for me. This, to me, is like going to the Super Bowl because I want dominance. I want proof. I want everybody in Cincinnati to shut up. I want Burr to be humbled. I want Eli Apple to never play a game again because he'd get burned.
Bro, you get burned by DeMarcus
plays.
Robinson, you shouldn't play another game.
You shouldn't play another game.
Yeah, that's
and I like DeMarcus. I like D-Rob. But look, man, no matter how you look at it, when you take Eli Apple and you take Steven Nelson and you put them together, you still don't have a top 20 corner. So I am all about us dominating this game. I don't know about you guys in this chat, but that's what I want. I want three of us do. We want perfection. We want everybody. I want Cincinnati to make up every excuse they can come up with, from the water boy didn't bring enough Gatorade to somebody stubbed their toe to somebody's aunt didn't show up to the game and it really depressed them. I don't care what excuse they use. I just want dominance. I want them to all close their Twitter page for about 2 weeks. That's what I want.
Well, I will say this. If the Chiefs win, those receipts will be coming out. Just putting that out there.
I got a lot of stuff bookmarked.
They've been saved.
Not only are the receipts going to come out, but those things are going to be CVS receipts. So they're going to be 4 miles long. Okay?
There's going to be coupon upon coupon upon coupon.
You bought one thing of milk and some sweet tarts, and it's like this big.
Hey, Philip, you know what? I don't even know what that is. I've heard this like 9 times now. I have no clue what Skyline chili is, and I don't want to know. It sounds like something that comes out of a can. I don't want no canned chili, just like I don't want no canned meat. I want filet mignon on Sunday. That's what I want. If we win the game, I might just go buy one. Anyway, with that being said, anything else you guys got?
Let's go Chiefs.
Yes, let's go Chiefs.
That was pretty enthusiastic there.
Yeah, let's go Chiefs.
Say it again.
That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, come on, man. Why don't you say it with some enthusiasm? Spit it out. Let's go. Let's win this game. Let's win with dominance. Let's just win this game.
Now, whether by half a point or 3 touchdowns, I don't care.
Say it in caps. That's all I want. That's all I'm asking for. All right.
Thanks for joining, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Thanks you guys for joining. This, again, was brought to you by Foco Sports. Go on our pinned tweet. Oh, by the way, real quick, we have a bobblehead coming out. That's right. Fear nothing, attack everything. Who said that? Anybody know who said that?
No, that was one of the Chiefs' rally cries and one of their playoff wins.
There was a head coach that said that, though. A head coach that said that. Philip will say who it was, but there was a head coach that actually said that. But anyway, we're brought to you by Foco Sports. We do have a ridiculously cool bobblehead coming out this weekend for the game. You guys might want to turn your notifications on and get ready to buy it because it's going to go, and it's going to go fast. It's probably the coolest one they've made yet. And when it goes, it's going to be gone. So make sure you jump on there, get your notifications on. I'm going to put out an article on it, and I'm also going to tweet it on Saturday. So it will probably be gone within about 15 minutes. So just make sure you guys check it out and get it while it's hot because they go quick. With that being said, we appreciate Foco for adding something to our giveaway and everything they do for us. And what do you say? I heard Eric Berry started that quote, but I could be wrong. There was actually a head coach that said that all the time. And I can't remember his name right now, but it'll come to me. But there was a older head coach that used to say that all the time. And Marty said it a few times, but Marty was a different cat, philosophical guy. So, but he was an English major, so there's a reason behind that. But anyway, make sure you guys check out FOCO, and on our website, we're going to put out an article about it. We're going to put up what it looks like on Saturday, and you better have your notifications on because it's going to disappear quick. I will throw out a little bit of a hint. It is not just one person. So the way this thing is designed is awesome. And hey, wait, really quick, for anybody else that listens to this show, these are not paintings. They're not portraits. They're figures. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a Barbie doll that was like made after a model, but they don't look just like them. So everybody out there that assumes that it's Juju with Patrick Mahomes' hair because I don't know why, you're wrong. Nothing could be exact when you're making, first of all, no two are the same, but these are handcrafted and they're collectible. I don't know what you even call them. What do you call them? Toys, Quentin?
They're
not really toys.
No.
I mean,
to me, they're like the bobbleheads that you get.
Yeah,
they are, but they're big head bobbles. That's the difference. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
their heads are bigger than like a regular bobblehead. In fact, Travis Kelce has 4 bobbleheads sitting on his little table when he does his show because they made fun of him on the last show that his room was so bare. So he put up a bunch of stuff, and he put up his Nickelodeon award, all that.
I hope that comes up in his Hall of Fame speech.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
In the accolades where it's like, 2-time Super Bowl champion, all that stuff, and it's like 2-time Nickelodeon MVP because he won his second one. Yeah. I want that to come up in his Kent speech. The only time, 2-time in Nickelodeon. Hopefully he repeats it.
Hey man, it might just happen. So, and I don't know what they're waiting on with this Mahomes MVP thing, but they need to get that over with now.
It'll come out Saturday before the Super Bowl.
It needs to come out Saturday.
It'll come out Saturday before the Super Bowl. That's when they do it.
Well, I don't like the fact that they're waiting because
that's the way they always do it.
I know, but right now I noticed 3 different. Originally, it was Mahomes was number 1 no matter what. He was going to get the MVP. Now they have somebody put out that they had Joe Burrow ahead of him, which I don't see how that's possible.
They just released they changed the voting this year to where you vote for your top 5. They made it like the Heisman voting, where you don't just pick one. Now you pick a bunch of.
I get it, but how is Burrow? When you look at the list, how is he ahead of Mahomes?
He's not.
He was on that list.
Well,
that's just someone's opinion. But I mean,
so regardless, Mahomes is the clear-cut MVP.
Especially, and the show, JP.
It just got me frustrated. This show's got me fired up, man, and I'm gonna be really fired up Sunday. So, either way, anyway, peace out, everybody. Make sure you check out everything, website, all of it. Like and subscribe on our channel, please, all of you guys. And we will talk to you guys on Sunday after the win. Peace out, everybody.
Go Chiefs.